Dave Zangaro, covers the Eagles, done it a long time, does a great job. You can check him out on the Eagle Eye podcast. Dave, what up, dude? How are you?
Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm so excited for this game.
When is the last time you said that with this team coming to town?
Man, it's been a long time. This is a lot of fun. I think back to when I chatted with you guys in the summer. I don't think any of us expected this game to have this much hype around it, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
The Eagles, I mean, did we have you on, or maybe I was just texting with you? It seemed like that ship was sinking 6 weeks ago, and Sirianni seemed nuts. All of a sudden, everything is cool up there. They've won 5 in a row. What has changed, and what is kind of the temperature now?
Yeah, the vibes are very good with this team right now, and you win 5 in a row, it's going to feel pretty good. They got off to a 2-2 start. It was rough, but they had that early bye week, and I think that early bye, when the schedule comes out, you go, a week 5 bye looks like way too early, and that's not to say, week 13, week 14, they're not going to be feeling it a little bit, but I think it was a good time for them, and I think they figured out a lot of stuff during that bye week, and since then it's been a lot better. Now the competition they've faced in the last few weeks hasn't been great, but they've done what they needed to do. They've kind of beaten up on some lesser opponents, which is always a big question. I think at times when the Eagles haven't been very good, they've let lesser teams stick around with them, and they've either lost the games or they've been too close. But to see the kind of blowout wins they've had recently, I think things are looking much better. And as much panic as there was, I think, from the outside, they didn't really feel as much panic inside when they were 2-2. They still had some belief in the players they had, and in Nick Sirianni too, which, he kind of went through a lot early this season, but everything's looking pretty good right now.
Have there been any injuries up there that people are concerned about?
For the most part, they're a pretty healthy team. In fact, they might get Jordan Mailata back this week. He's obviously the really good left tackle who had missed the last 4 weeks. He's on IR with a hamstring injury. They activated his practice window this week, so there's a chance he's ready to play. They have a few little lingering injuries. Devontae Smith's been dealing with a hamstring. Dallas Goedert has a little bit of an ankle injury, but for the most part, they've been a pretty healthy team to this point.
Yeah, they have been pretty healthy. The turnovers, it's funny. I kind of looked at some of the numbers, and in that 2-2 start before the bye, they had 8 turnovers. In the 5 games since, they've got 3 turnovers in 5 games, which is obviously a great sign. But then the flip side of that is all the 3 turnovers have come in the last 2 games. So what version of these events is real? The turnover-prone team or the lock-it-down team?
Yeah, I think they are not a super turnover-prone team right now. Early in the season, it was a problem. And it was like the 2-2 start, you're seeing Jalen Hurts. He's being careless with the football. A lot of turnover-worthy plays, which is a really nice stat from PFF that I like quite a bit, because I think turnovers, there's like a fluky nature to that stat in general, because there are some plays that end up it bounces off a receiver's hands, and it's not really the quarterback's fault. But I thought Jalen early this season was putting the ball in harm's way too often, so it was something he needed to clean up, and I think he has. Last week against the Cowboys, he did throw a pick, but I mean, I kind of thought it was just a really nice play by Trayvon Diggs. I have a hard time faulting Hurts for that. And then, the other one was a Micah Parsons comes free and knocks the ball out. He has to be better there. But for the most part, I think he's done a really good job protecting the football. And then on the flip side, the Eagles defense has been getting takeaways at a crazy rate recently. So, I mean, turnover differential is, other than points, the most important stat in football. And the Eagles weren't very good early, and they're really good at it now. So I think that when you look at this 5-game win streak, that's a really important part of it.
For sure. And I think Hurts has looked so good lately. I mean, that Dallas, the second half of that game was just a straight demolition. And when he really gets his legs going, and where is Hurts at in the scale of, we've seen him be an MVP candidate, and we've seen him look pretty ineffective at times.
Yeah, I think he's healthy. And I know there was a thing here last week where Nick Sirianni kind of revealed that he's dealing with a little ankle injury, but he looks faster than he did last year. And when you have that +1 in the run game, it's a big deal, which you guys are seeing now, obviously, with Jaden Daniels. But he looks healthy. He's, like I said, since the bye week, he's been making much better decisions. Now, they have kind of been leaning on the run game way more since the bye, so they haven't asked him to do quite as much. It's been a little more limited in terms of, like, they're not saying, hey, Jalen, go out and win us this game. It's been a lot of, we have a really good offensive line, and Saquon Barkley, who's one of the best running backs in the league, kind of let him do his job. But that's not to say that they're not going to need Jalen to really throw the football at some point in one of these games. Heck, it could happen Thursday night. They might need him to air it out a little bit. But the recipe since the bye week really has been run the ball with Barkley, let the offensive line dictate the way they're going to play these games, and then strategically let Jalen air it out. He's been really good throwing the deep ball. That's been their recipe. It doesn't mean it's going to be the recipe for the rest of the year, but that's what's been working recently.
Well, you say he's healthy now. Because him being injured last year, because when you saw him playing, you could see something was bothering him. That could be part of what the problem was last year.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of it. And it's like, injured is like, it's kind of a catch-all, right? Because, like, was he on the injury report every week? No. But did he look healthy? Were the bumps and bruises of a season catching up with him? I think absolutely. I mean, he didn't look like the same player in the second half of 2023 that he did in the 2022 Super Bowl season. He just looked slower. He looked a little more labored out there. So I think overall health is much better this year. He just looks faster. And I know it's like anecdotal. It's tough to really say he's faster, but I mean, watching him, he looks like the 2022 version a little bit. And that's a big deal because in 2023, it felt like they were still trying to reap the advantages of that +1 in the run game, but he wasn't able to make things happen with his legs. So not only were teams not respecting his ability to run, but when they tried to do it, they weren't picking up any yards and they were kind of putting themselves behind the sticks. So this year, with him looking healthier, with him looking faster, it's not like they have to rely on him running the football, but just his presence in the run game, I think, has helped Saquon. And then on the flip side, I think Saquon's presence has really helped him and the rest of the offense.
All right, let's one specific person we need to talk to. We're talking with our friend Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia. You can follow him at DZangaro NBCS. Davey Z, Saquon's been killing it.
Sure.
What you have a story, I guess, pinned on your profile from maybe last week or earlier this week about what Saquon has found in Philly and how well it's all going there?
Yeah, I mean, he's just been unbelievable.
He's
doing things on a field that I've never seen anyone do. It's like, it's
that
pretty
reverse
amazing.
hurdle was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I talked to his coach about that, his running backs coach, and it's everyone in Philadelphia except him loved that play because, the running backs coach is going, please don't do that.
Sure.
Stay on the ground, please. But with Saquon, he kind of went through some weird times at the end of his career with the Giants, with the franchise tag, and then with free agency playing out the way it did and in such a public manner on Hard Knocks. So it was cool. Basically, the gist of the story that I wrote was his running backs coach, Jamal Singleton, sat him down before the season and just basically told him how much he thought of him as a player and said he was the highest rated player he's ever scouted in this league. And he said, like, I still think you're that guy. I think we can do some special things. And you don't think about a guy like Saquon Barkley, who's been like a top draft pick and a Pro Bowler, needing that type of confidence boost, but he apparently did. And he said it really went a long way just to know that his coach believed in him that much. And he's been incredible. He's 9 yards shy of 1,000 for the season. He's running so well. And like the touches have been a big topic here of conversation among media members and fans. Like, is he touching the ball too much and all this? But having an offensive line like the Eagles have, he's not taking the beating that he took in New York. I mean, so many of his yards are before contact now. So yes, he's touching the ball an awful lot, but he's been able to stay pretty healthy so far.
I think that just further resonate. Like I always tell people, football players are human beings first, and everybody wants to feel respected. They want to feel like somebody really do believe in them. And when you get that, it frees a lot of stuff, because halftime, if you listen to the most comments made about athletes, it's as if they are something other, like unhuman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and
what the running back coach did was perfect.
Yeah, and it compounds because there's so much pressure too. Like sports psychology to me is fascinating, and like in the last few years, it feels like teams are really buying into it more and more, and they're employing sports psychologists, and they're like really worried about and focused on the mental side of this, because it's a big deal. It's like there's so much pressure on these guys. He's such a public figure, and like everyone in the world saw his free agency play out on national TV. Like that has to have an effect on you. So it's like the first time we've ever seen that, right? And that's probably the last time we'll ever see. Yeah, it's probably the last time we'll ever see a team do the off-season hard knocks, and he was like the focal point of it. So I think it's been a breath of fresh air for him to be in Philadelphia, and so far it's been just an incredible free agency signing.
You know what was wild is that game was when the Commanders played the Giants that day. And I guess, was that a 4:00 game when he had the reverse hurdle joint?
I think it must have been. Yeah, I think so.
Because I was in the Commanders locker room when I saw that happen. And I was like, whoa. And then I showed it to a bunch of defensive linemen because they were like, what? And I was like, check this out. And I showed it to them on my phone, and they're all just like, whoa. Like that specific play was just so absurd. Has he answered like how he thought of that?
He didn't.
Yeah.
He just reacted.
Yeah, it's more just reacting. The crazy thing is like, even without the reverse hurdle, it's still an incredible play. He still would have made two guys miss, and with a spin move in there. I think
the move before was sick too.
It was incredible. Yeah, but I think he was like starting to set up another spin move and didn't quite get there, and then kind of saw the other guy coming out of his peripheral and decided to hurdle. It's not the first time he's done it. It's the first time he's done it this clean and impressively. But he has kind of done a reverse hurdle before. He did it at Penn State against Iowa. But this one was like, I've never seen anything like it. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again, honestly.
It has been nuts. All right, so clearly Philly's hot. Washington isn't as hot as they've been. Two players on the Eagles defense I think have been great. Bond, the linebacker, and Dean, the linebacker. How good is that middle level?
Yeah, it's amazing because it's been a really long time since the Eagles had linebacker play like this. And Zach Bond, when they signed him, everyone kind of thought he was going to be kind of a situational edge rusher in the Andrew Van Ginkel kind of mold, where Van Ginkel played for Fangio last year in Miami. But give credit to Fangio, because Howie Roseman said, here's Zach Bond. We think he could be a situational edge rusher. Fangio watched him and said, no, I think he's an inside backer. And ever since then, he's been an inside linebacker. He's been a starter, and he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. It's not even like
coach
for a
help
while,
out every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, it was like, okay, he's good for an Eagles linebacker. Then it was, okay, he's good for a guy who hasn't played linebacker very much. And now it's like, no, he's just good. He's been one of the better linebackers in the league. And it's been fun to watch. Nakobe's been a little more up and down, but he's been solid too as the mic, as the signal caller for the defense. So they're getting good play from those two guys. And then since we'll probably talk about it anyway, Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie cornerback, he's been excellent. And I can't wait. The one matchup I'm so excited for in this game is Quinyon Mitchell against Terry McLaurin, because
is Quinyon the talker?
On the field? Yeah. Yeah, he's a little trash talker on the field. It's like little quick jabs on the field. From what I've heard from defensive backs, it's like that route was trash type stuff. He'll let you hear it a little bit. He's confident.
Okay.
You're saying though, Quinyon versus Terry. Terry has killed the Eagles in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he has.
They say, I know.
What do you think for this weekend with Mitchell?
Yeah, I think Mitchell's been their better corner this year, and that's not a knock on Slay. I think he's still playing pretty well, but he's a 33-year-old corner, and Father Time's catching up a little bit.
Yep.
I'm excited to watch Quignon in this game. The stats aren't there. He hasn't had a pick yet. He's been really close. He's dropped a few. I think if he had a couple picks, we'd be talking about him as a potential defensive rookie of the year. I mean, he's been playing that well. And from day one, he was a day one starter for this team. I don't know. I think McLaurin's going to get his. I don't think you're going to shut out a guy like that, but I think it's going to be a battle. I think that Quignon's going to have his wins too. And the Eagles will help a little bit. This Vic Fangio too high shell, like they have the opportunity to shade a little bit and help out with the McLaurin on that side, and I think they will. But there are going to be times where they're just one-on-one, and the better man is going to win. So I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be fun because this is not just a one-game matchup. I mean, this is going to be hopefully the next few years getting to watch these two guys go at it.
I'm with you there. You haven't seen Jaden yet. I know that you put the time in and are a good reporter and watch the tape. What do you think about Jaden against this Eagles defense?
He's been fun to watch, man. Does not look like a rookie, that's for sure. I think I've been so impressed by the way he's like protecting the football, and something's got to give this weekend because the Eagles have been so good at getting takeaways. He's been so good at playing in a way that he's not turning it over. So I think that's really what this game could come down to. If he's able to do that and not allow the Eagles to make big plays on him, I think that it's going to go a long way for the Commanders. I think Zach Bond, who we mentioned, is going to have a big role in this game. He has that kind of sideline-to-sideline speed as a backer that you might need, especially if they're going to run some like zone read type stuff with Daniels, which they have been doing. I think his legs scare you if you're the Eagles as much as his passing ability. And that's not to say he's obviously been a great pocket passer, but typically the Eagles have struggled at times with quarterbacks who have that running ability. So I think Vaughn is a big player to watch in this game. But yeah, I mean, the Commanders' offense, as you guys have seen, has been pretty outstanding. So the Eagles have been good in recent weeks defensively. They keep getting better and better because it's a young defense learning a pretty intricate system. But this is the biggest test they'll face so far.
What are you feeling for tomorrow night?
I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. And it's funny because when the schedule came out, I didn't really care that this was a Thursday night game. Now I wish that both teams had a full week to prepare for it, just because I feel like we're getting robbed a little bit.
Because these games are usually gross.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think maybe it kind of comes out in the wash a little bit. The Eagles had to travel back from Dallas, but they also got the rest of their starters in the fourth quarter. So I think that kind of balances out with Washington being at home last week. I think it's going to be a close game. I think I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think I'm going to kind of just go with the home team on this one, but I really think it's kind of a coin flip game. I think it'll go either way.
Last thing, I've seen Devontae Smith on the injury report. What's his health? Obviously a key player.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a hamstring. He had it last week too, so it's really just like managing it for him. I expect him to play. They had that kind of mini bye week after the Thursday game to give him some extra time. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be good to go. I don't think I have anyone who's like the one big question mark injury-wise is Mailata, just if he's ready or not. I think everyone else is going to play.
Would they put Mailata out there that fast? I mean, he just got activated 2 days ago or something, right?
Yeah, and the tricky part is that they don't have any actual practices this week. It's all walkthroughs. Right. So it's about like putting him through some extra stuff on the side to see if that hamstring is ready. I think there's a good chance he plays.
Okay, but Dean, Goddard, Slay, Smith, the guys that have been limited on there, you think are all full go, right?
Yeah, I think most of those guys will be able to play.
All right. Davey, thank you, buddy. Always appreciate it.
All right, Dave.
All right, fellas. Take care.